coming to you live here in Pohang in the...
Hold on, I have to cut you off because, mate, your boost settings are not correct. Not at all. Oh god, it's awful. It's awful.
Well, that's just in time because I forgot to put it in Google Translate. Actually.
Oh god. Oh god. Your gain settings are just, I don't know what just happened, but welcome everyone, welcome to TSL 8 Korean Qualifier number 2. We are here, we are back, and of course, I guess your host, ZvP. With me, I'm joined by the lovely static image of El Yakuz of El Zakus.
It's a thumb.
Oh god, that's so much better. Oh god, but yes, welcome back, mate. Welcome back. As yeah, we actually didn't mention it at all yesterday. But it seems like your cosplay into a skeleton man translated to real life Yaku.
It turned me to an actual skeleton.
Yeah.
Hence why hence the hospital.
Mm-hmm. it's all coming together, mate. You know, the last time we saw Yaku, he was a skeleton, and now he's in the hospital, mate. It's all adding up.
It's like reverse dying.
Sure. Oh god. As we are getting into qualifier number 2 here, of course there are 3 qualifiers in total. There's still plenty of spots available, but mate, once again, single limb.
Indeed it is, and we'll continue to be here for the Korean qualifiers, for all of them really.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we are starting to get towards the end of these big 4 spot qualifiers, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. We really are, right? Like, especially because 4 players qualify through each qualifier, like a decent chunk of them make it through every single time. A decent chunk,
except for qualifier number 3.
Yeah, that's the thing, and we'll get there eventually. We'll get there in a couple of days. But for this one, like, we've got some pretty big names, and oh boy, it's gonna be brutal, mate.
It really is, especially with our first match that we're gunning for. We're just waiting for our players to finish up their vetoes here. We of course saw this on the bracket, and we knew that we had to go for it. It is MeomaikA versus Nice.
Oh, exactly, and I would ask you, I'll try myself, as it looks like they're having some issues making the lobby, so they're asking me to try and do it here. Hold on.
Let's see now. Do we have a map?
It is going to be Berlingrad.
Of course it is.
Oh god damn it, guys. We're gonna have to remake. But yo, I was really curious because our boy Crank actually never joined the lobby, and I was looking at him, I'm like, does he have a clean feed or something going on? No, mate, he's jumping in with us. He knows.
Yeah, sick.
Hey, he knows he knows who to follow, mate.
Exactly, he knows who has the taste in these series. That explains why he was asking me if we were gonna cast. It's like, what are you people doing here? Are you casting? Can I join you guys? So I imagine it going down.
Exactly. So
Wait,
yeah, it's cool. As Crank just messaged me, he said that he's gonna catch a different game. So
okay.
It's all good. As we are diving into our first series, as the people can see in the chat right now on the screen, we are going to be following. Of course, we all just always happen to follow our C boys whenever we can. It is going to be MeomaikA versus Nice.
Yeah, quite a coincidence, isn't it? We just so happen to do so every time.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's always a lot of fun to watch like these 2 regions converge at some point, and this is gonna be a little bit closer. You know, recently we've seen MeomaikA go up against the likes of Dongregu and Rogue and these brutal ZVZs, but now we have a different matchup entirely.
Indeed, we do ZvP, which I would imagine is a bit of a... It's at least a matchup that Mio is a bit more comfortable in, I would imagine.
I would
As
imagine
we all
so.
know, yeah. For as much as he does play ZVZs, and, you know, as much as, at least in our region, he has been the head honcho when it comes to the matchup, anything really can happen, right? ZvP at the very least, it's a lot more in your hands when it comes to predictability.
It really can be, as we are diving into our first series of the night.
That we are, and it is, of course, going to be on Berlingrad LE. We're in the top left-hand corner of the map, spawning all the way in the top left-hand corner. We have our red Protoss player coming down from the land of Taiwan. He is still ruling the triads of the region, the top dog from Taiwan, so to speak, representing Good Game Gaming, GGG. He is pleasant. He is nice.
And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Berlingrad LE, we have the Vietnamese Zerg player. He is blue, representing the Juggernauts. It is MeomaikA.
Oh. Already, seems like he's a little bit fond of Berlingrad. I mean, we have had it in the map pool for a couple of weeks now, and I feel like every single time we cast MeomaikA, at least once, this pops in.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be fair, not just MeomaikA, but it feels like almost every single series we've had in TSL Korea, like we have Berlingrad. It's been great. It's been great to see it so often here, especially because, like, I don't know how much more often we're going to get it in these other regions. So, you know, we gotta appreciate it while we can.
Indeed, we do. I have to ask. It may be a bit of an out there sort of question. How often does Showtime, you know, player on Berlin International, play on Berlingrad?
This is a good question. We need answers. You would think that it would be in his contract now to
should be.
Never veto Berlingrad, mate.
Every time his opponent vetoes it, he's like, "Oh, thank God."
Oh God. His opponent's gonna get paid off not to veto it, mate. That's how it's gonna work. As we do have a couple links coming across up, and oh, he would just barely not get the drone. Of course, this was a pool first opening, but it was a MeomaikA pool first. What does that mean? It means that he really did it for safety. He prioritized queens more than anything, and yeah, he didn't really intend to deal any damage. At least he did force a zealot to come out though from Nice.
Yeah, it's something here of value for MeomaikA, but on the flip side, you could also argue that on Berlingrad, you really don't want to take any chances, do you?
Yeah.
You see that pool first, you want to get that zealot out, be as safe as possible.
Exactly, it makes plenty of sense here. Meanwhile, Nice, he's just testing the waters with his adept, trying to make sure nothing crazy is going on. And mate, he knows who he's up against. He's up against MeomaikA. He knows how crazy, or again, MeomaikA, just like Haas, has a bit of a reputation.
He absolutely does. And now that Nice has been playing against Gogo Joey a bit more often, you know, the teammate of MeomaikA, I do feel like Nice is at least a little bit more cautious, right, when it comes to what the Juggernauts, the Zerg Muta Triangle can really throw his way.
I would assume so, and this is where, like, I really worry for MeomaikA, because, you know, now, like, he's hitting these opponents who are familiar with his reputation, not necessarily his builds, but also, you know, are just incredibly solid players, right? Nice is at the very top of his own region. How can MeomaikA really shape up to these top players with his style? Speaking of his style, he is going for that fast lair.
Yeah, which is why I do appreciate that Nice is neglecting the Oracle. We'll at least be able to get across the map pretty soon and see what's up. For now, though, just hunting the Overlords.
Yeah, the first Void Ray is dealing a little bit of damage. You know, the Oracle's going to be zooming across the map, and I imagine after this lair, we are going to be seeing us. Sorry, I almost said Spire. I meant Hydra then. It is MeomaikA we are speaking of course. What's a little bit worrisome is that, okay, never mind. We do have Spores in the natural, the main, and the third, so this Oracle, unlike the Banshee we saw with Beyond versus MeomaikA, shouldn't deal too much damage.
Oh, Hopefully, anyway. Torkoaler ain't out just yet, but thankfully for MeomaikA, there is only a single drone there. So not too many casualties when it comes to the worker count. Right on the money. Hydra Den is about to finish up.
Yep, of course it is a Hydra follow-up. Again, it is kind of MeomaikA's calling card in a way. What's a little bit interesting about this is that he opted not to go for an Evo chamber for like a +1 timing or anything like that.
Yeah, so not really going to be looking at a timing anytime soon.
Yeah. I mean, this is more like MeomaikA. Oh my god, as we actually had two. We actually have a third Oracle on the way here for nice.
Ooh, that is not something I've seen in a while, and by a while I mean a couple of weeks. Triple Oracle is still something that Protoss players throw out every now and then, but it's not as reliable as an opener. That's why we just don't see it as often in PvZ. I do appreciate that Nice is going for it, though, knowing how aggressively greedy MeomaikA is being with his tech. He needs to find a way to keep that gas count low.
Exactly. Like, this is the unfortunate reality of how MeomaikA plays, is that he doesn't make a lot of queens. Without queens, SkyToss units like this deal a lot of damage. 6 more drones went down, and now MeomaikA, he's making those Hydras. He's going to be going across the map, Luna hit a timing with Hydra speed.
Yeah, just about his go-to. MeomaikA is one of the few Zerg players out there who will pretty consistently go for muscular augments instead of group spines.
Yeah, exactly. But in the end, the army was tagged. He comes back home, and now he's kind of stuck at home trying to deal with these oracles. Oracles that are still dealing more damage, that still get 2 more drones, and all 3 of them are still alive.
And now he's wishing he got group spines first. There is really no easy way for MeomaikA to deal with these oracles. Unless he catches them in the middle of the map! Turn around to the Hydra, Meo!
He does. He's trying to catch them, but unfortunately he cannot. The oracles are just far too fast for him, and they actually all manage to escape.
Yeah, some of them do get very, very low, but the important thing is they do survive. They can still throw in some DPS with their Pulsar Beam. And that's a very healthy Oracle here to tank shots, too.
Yeah, exactly. And again, more damage is done. Finally, one of the Oracles dies. But the Oracles have already more than paid for themselves. Meanwhile, again, we have a pretty sizable army. But the longer this goes on, the better it is for Nice, because he's working on Colossus.
Yeah, Meo's trying to get something done with his Zerglings right now. Just trying to keep Nice's army at bay, and 2, potentially try to delay a 3rd base, but as you said, now that the Colossus is out, that basically hard counters both the Lings and the Hydras here for Meo.
Yeah, exactly. Thankfully, Extended Thermal Lance isn't done yet, so, I mean, Nice doesn't have the best range to deal with this. Again, MeomaikA, he just finished up Hydra range as well, so he's got both his Hydra upgrades, he's ready to push in, but at the moment, oh god, pushing in is not really the answer for him, so he drones up, and he actually starts an Infestation Pit.
How much you want to bet this is only for infestors? Will he get Hive? That is my question.
Mate, that's a really good question, actually. Like, if it was any other Zerg player, I'd be like, yo, Vipers, let's go. But because it's MeomaikA, I'm feeling infestors, man.
Yeah, I've seen him make Vipers maybe once and then immediately lose all of his Vipers. But he's getting a Lurker then, so yeah, should be... but still, I want to say should be going for Hydra Lurker Viper. But what if he's just going for Hydra Lurker Infestor?
There we go, mate. The Hive has started. He is looking to go into Hydra Lurker Viper. This madman is playing somewhat standard, and now Nice is pushing out across the map into him. This is kind of best case scenario for MeomaikA. We see that he's already in position, already gets a decent arc, but he has to be careful not to overextend because of the force fields.
Like so. Thermal Lance is massive, but so is Groove Spines. Finally, Nice will back away with his Colossus, though. Doesn't really lose much of any units there. I think only a couple of Adepts went down.
Yeah.
Very good fight for a Protoss player.
Exactly. Only Zealots and Adepts, just pure gateway units went down. He still has plenty of energy for another round of force fields. He has to be careful, though, because 20 Lings are in production.
And does he have to be careful, though? Against Lings, he's got 3 Colossus with Thermal Lance.
True. But if he runs out of energy, he's going to get surrounded. You know, he has to be careful with how he uses these sentries.
And he uses them just about perfectly right now, cutting the army in half. Colossus have barely been assaulted since the start of this attack. And look at that army supply difference. GG is called.
GG is called as Nice takes the first game in this series.
Nicely done.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of brutal because MeomaikA, he wanted to be a little bit more aggressive and hit these timings, but every single time he went across the map, props to MeomaikA for not committing anyway and just losing his army early on. But regardless, like, he wasn't working on his drone count or his tech, so everything else was delayed, and every single time that he wanted to be aggressive, like, there was always a solid defense, so he was just forced to elongate the game even longer, and he got there in a bit of a rough place.
Yeah, it's one of those things where we were talking about how MeomaikA's reputation is starting to exceed himself. Nice may not necessarily be familiar with the builds, but because he knew he's up against MeomaikA, he was as active as he could be with those 3 oracles. And once he got a good read on what MeomaikA was building up towards, ball was in his court the entire time, and he did not give it up.
Exactly. Like, that's the rough thing about this matchup specifically, is that oh god damn
hard
it.
again. No.
Every time, Nice. That's the rough thing about this matchup, is that honestly, like, queens are such an integral part of this matchup, period, unless you're going for an all-in. And MeomaikA isn't really one to make queens, so like
unless it's ZvP.
True.
Which is the one matchup where you could argue maybe you don't need as many queens.
Yeah. It's brutal, mate. It's brutal. So it's hard, like, if you want to commit to a specific style when, like, the meta is somewhere else, right? And there's a reason for that. But we'll see. We'll see if MeomaikA has something else in store for us.
That we shall hear as we go for a complete whiplash from Berlingrad to Glittering Ashes.
Oh.
Berlingrad and Glittering Ashes, saying that. It's the grad and the glitter.
Yeah.
It's messes me up.
GG.
G. What's the third map? So we can go for the GGG. Grad Glitter Gaming. Let's go.
There you go, mate. There you go.
Glittergrad.
So getting into game numero dos here. Here we go. As you were saying, we went from the smallest map to the largest.
And here we are now on Glittering Ashes LE. We're in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. We, of course, have our red Protoss player coming out from the land of Taiwan. The top player from Taiwan. He is going to be representing Good Game Gaming. GGG. He is nice.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Glittering Ashes LE, we have the Vietnamese Zerg player. He is red, representing the Juggernauts. It is MeomaikA.
Once again, opting for a pool first, but more of a safety pool first than anything.
Yeah, going for the MeomaikA special here. And I'm really curious, because if you're going to go for a Hydra timing, Berlingrad, like, that's the map to do it on. Sure, you could argue that it's kind of like an obvious thing. It's a little bit too, it's a little bit too samey. But on Berlingrad, like, how do you approach this matchup instead? Like, do we go for another Hydra push? Do we have something else? What's on melee?
Nidus.
I wouldn't be opposed to, unironically, Nidus could be good. Yeah.
I mean, we saw how well Dark was able to utilize it last night, so hopefully MeomaikA was taking a couple of notes.
Yeah. I hope so. As so far, everything's pretty standard here. He makes his queen. He's got 6 lings on the way just to shoo away these probes and to maybe get across the map and deal some damage. The interesting thing here, despite scouting the pool first, Nice this time is skipping the Zealot.
Yeah, I guess he realizes that he doesn't necessarily need it, right? We're on Glittering Ashes, which may not have the largest rush distance, or the longest rush distance, but it's still pretty dang long. There's a lot of time he can buy, and, well, he knows that MeomaikA is mostly getting the pool first for safety than anything else.
Yeah, well, these 6 lings are going to get here, and they're going to get on top of the pylon, and the probes need to be pulled, mate. Oh, God. Yo, is the pylon going to go down? It's going to go down!
Chrono Boost should be able to get the Adept out just in time. But everything is still depowered. This is something that you shouldn't underestimate. This will delay Warp Gate for quite a while.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. And again, if this wasn't Glittering Ashes, 1 second less, and those Lings would have depowered this, there would have been no Adept, and it would have been GG. It would have been all over. Meanwhile, MeomaikA going for a bit of a Link flood behind this. Yeah, I was getting Jagannatha, Cyril versus...
Yeah, Cyril versus DNS.
Yeah. Same thing.
I like how that's permanently etched into our minds. I literally just said flashbacks, and you're like, "Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about."
Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing, mate. Meanwhile, the Adept does get across the map. It does get 1 drone kill. Link speed is about to finish up, so MeomaikA can get across the map again. But this time there will be a wall.
Yeah, it's even more important to get that wall up this time, since again, Warp Gate is delayed for so long. He just doesn't have the amount of production that he wants to have. Nice, I mean.
Exactly. MeomaikA, he checks the wall, confirms that it is in fact a wall. There is no there is no shield battery behind this, so the Lings can kill the Adept, but Nice is aware of that. He walls up behind it, just to make sure.
Yeah. You definitely don't want to... You definitely can't take too many precautions when you're up against MeomaikA here, so... Yeah, Nice, just keeping on top of things. Curious to see where he'll tech up from here, though. The first Oracle is already out. He opted not to go for a Void Ray this time.
Yeah, I like it because, again, he recognizes, yo, mate, you don't make a lot of queens. I'm not going to waste time with a Void Ray. I'm just going to go for these Oracles as soon as possible. Zoom across the map. Thankfully, MeomaikA is getting spores, so the first Oracle shouldn't deal too much damage. But the Oracle will scout the very fast lair.
And that's probably a lot more important than whatever damage his Oracle can get done, but it maybe will get a ton of damage. MeomaikA this time not neglecting his queens, for now anyway. Spire's coming out? Alright!
Oh, interesting. So we have a Spire on the way. MeomaikA has to be careful with his queen movement because there is a revelation.
And the Overlord as well, because that actually provides high ground vision.
Yeah, oh god. As so far, Nice has not spotted it. We have a Roach Warren thrown down. This is spotted by Nice. He dips in with 2 Oracles and oh god, he's getting damage done.
Yeah, no pull here on the drones. So 4 of them will go down.
Exactly.
Now, Nice scouts that Roach Warren. Do you think he realizes it's fake out?
I mean, the Roach Warren looks pretty standard from what we can tell, right? You know, Roaches at this stage of the game seem pretty normal. Meanwhile, oh, this is brutal. 6 drones have fallen, and there is no Spore at this 3rd base. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Oracles just make a beeline for it, especially now that there are 3 of them.
Yeah, only a single queen to defend that as well. MeomaikA did make a couple more queens than he normally does, but he just does not have them in position. Immediately pulls the drones away, but what does he pull them away to? To more laser beams from the Oracles.
16 drones. That's an entire mineral line just gone in a blink of an eye. Doesn't matter that the Spire hasn't been spotted. Like, oh god, MeomaikA has just taken so many losses.
And he realizes that. He knows that he can't quite afford to get Mutas out yet, so instead, actually produces from his Roach Warren.
Exactly.
The reveal on the cleaning bot, I think, is actually what scouted the Spire here. At least initially, now the Queen's in position.
Yeah, Nice. He sees the Spire, he's well aware of it, he started Phoenix production. Thankfully for MeomaikA, you know, he's making Phoenixes against Roaches, right? Like, there are no Mutas in production for Meo, so this is kind of best case scenario for him. But, like, what does he do from here? You know, his opponent is getting his 3rd base up and running. We have to re-drone, right? After we sustained all those losses. Like, MeomaikA's in a really rough place.
He is, but he is rebuilding slowly but surely. MeomaikA wants to eventually get into more of a Sky Zerg army. He's researching +1, but that doesn't necessarily mean Mutas.
Yeah, we have a bit of a Roach counterattack, but it's going to get very easily cleaned up here by Nice. There weren't enough Roaches to really do much of anything. He's getting into the Colossus once again, which would be great against Hydras if Hydras were somehow on the way. I wouldn't be opposed to like a massive Muta switch, to be honest. Like, look at how much gas MeomaikA is banking up.
He is, and he's banking that for a reason, and the reason is Infestus. No, probably not.
Well, honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to like Corruptor as well. Or, like, just go mass Corruptor, kill the Phoenixes, kill the Oracles, and then maybe even snipe some Colossus. Like, there's potential. There's potential.
Yeah, all things considered, aside from the Colossus coming out for nice, he doesn't have too threatening of a ground army. And what is the direct counter to Colossus? Corruptus.
There it is. Let's go. I love this from MeomaikA. 12 Corruptors are on the way. Again, there's a lot of potential with this. But we'll see. We'll see how the control is going to be for MeomaikA. Meanwhile, God, these Oracles have already more than paid for themselves. At least finally, MeomaikA will have some consistent anti-air to deal with it.
Yeah, it goes one Oracle as well, but not before they throw down the Revelation. So nice, we'll see that it's not Mutas coming out, it is instead Corruptors, and we should see a switch in the Void Race pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly, especially once he gets confirmation. The Corruptors, they are zooming across the map. They're going to be running headfirst into, oh no, just barely avoiding the Oracles, okay, but he is going to run across a Colossus.
Like so.
No, Mio, please!
Oh, turns around. Like so!
Beautiful, mate, beautiful.
Focusing instead on the Void Ray. Hard to blame him. That's the more threatening unit right now. Corruptors, you'll have one Colossus and with another as well. Or not, it's just Super Battery.
Yeah, Super Battery is okay, but it's not good enough. There are far too many Corruptors here. All the Phoenixes are going to go down as well. So the Corruptors are paying for themselves, but the Oracles, they got across the map. No Spore in the main base. 6 more drones fall, and the Queen.
Yeah, nice as recognized. All these Corruptors, that's basically your only anti-air. I'm just going to go across with Oracles and really try to cripple your economy. Nice isn't there yet, but MeomaikA has taken quite a beating, to say the least.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, MeomaikA, he's going to try and focus on this Nexus, and he's going to get it!
Just in time. Mass warping the Stalkers, but of course they don't have links, so not as effective as they could be. It's a little bit difficult to chase these Corruptors down.
Yeah.
Now they're just chilling in dead air.
Exactly, just waiting for their Caustic Spray to come off with cooldown, and then they can go for another base. They can potentially go for the main base, or even some of the production.
Yeah, taking out the Fleet Beacon wouldn't be a bad idea here. He's just focusing on taking out the Void Rays as they pop out.
Yeah, gets one, almost gets a second. As all this has been happening, we have a mass commitment into Roaches for a ground army. I mean, look at it. Again, MeomaikA is getting ready for a big counterattack if Nice goes for one.
Which for now, can't really afford to do so. He needs to find a way to deal with these Corruptors, and he has found it. He just needs to, actually deal with the Corruptors.
Yeah, exactly. Again, you pointed it out, but without Blink, like, these Stalkers are basically doing nothing. They're just trying to chase down the Corruptors as best they can. The Void Rays are struggling. What MeomaikA has to be careful of is that, again, this Void Ray count is about to explode. Like, he needs to reinvest into anti-air. Otherwise, Mass Void Ray is just going to ruin him.
Well, 9 Mutas on the way out. Is that for anti-air? Anti-Void Ray? Yeah, potentially, if he's able to isolate them.
Yeah, interesting choice. Very interesting choice. God, the Oracles are still not done with. No, there's still not a Spore at the third. Mio. Oh, God. Finally, he makes a Spore. There's still not one in the... Okay, there is one in the main, but... it took far... This Spore took far too long to make. We're 11 minutes in, mate. Oh, God.
Yeah, warning to all Zerg players out there, you might want to avert your eyes. 51 drones have gone down this game.
Oh my God, 51!
Oh.
That's almost as much as he has right now.
Yeah, imagine if he didn't have to remake all of those.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, it's brutal. Like, as much damage as MeomaikA was able to deal with those Corruptors, that's enough to keep things even. Like, if it wasn't for that, he would be dead right now. We do see that he is maxed out, but again, he's maxed out with a Roach army. It's not the most ideal army, but there's a lot of potential with these Mutas. Maybe he can pick up some of these Disruptors.
Yeah, or he tried to deal with the Void Rays to just make sure that his Roaches have a little bit of an easier time. That's a lot of Disruptors, actually, in the back of the army of Nice.
Yeah, exactly. That's a terrifying army here, especially for a Roach player. Meanwhile, Oracles dip in and get 4 more drones. My God. Just looking. One of the Oracles has 21 kills, the other has 26, mate.
And that's not even counting the third Oracle that died. How many kills did that get before it left this plane.
Exactly, mate. Jesus Christ. The army gets tagged. We do have a bit of a roach run by, which is nice, but this is what I was worried about. Carriers are now on the way, and MeomaikA has very little anti-air. He has 4 Corruptors and 10 Mutas.
But Mutas still have interceptors, right? No, not at all. Unfortunately.
I mean, he's
You
trying.
think they would with the splash damage, but
Unfortunately not. Yo, he does take out a couple of these Void Rays. Yo, the control here by MeomaikA is actually pretty insane. He's actually going for multi-prong, trying to hit 3 places at once. But the Disruptors...
they do throw down their Purification Novas. These roaches are off creep, but they're just fast enough. MeomaikA reacts just quick enough to pull them away from the Purification Novas.
Oh, exactly.
Disruptors were very exposed, so thankfully the battery overcharge will keep them alive.
Just barely. MeomaikA wanted to dive on top of them. Meanwhile, at the same time, these Mutas are dealing a lot of damage as well. We have 14 Corruptors on the way. With those Corruptors, he may have enough to shut down the Carriers. Maybe. It's going to be close.
Yeah, he needs a little bit more than that. Some Vipers would definitely be ideal.
That they would, and now Nice is pulling the trigger. He's going across the map. Thankfully for MeomaikA, he does catch some units here, a little bit isolated. So again, he still hasn't had to deal with the main brunt, with the main force. Oh god, the Disruptors!
I'm still worried with how exposed the Disruptors are. Very nice split here, right at the last second here from MeomaikA. And yeah, honestly, there aren't too many Stalkers. That was a very juicy Purification Nova, though.
Yeah. That it was.
And with that, MeomaikA's kind of crushing this fight.
He really is. Here comes the rest of the army. He gets a full surround, essentially, and Nice will lose everything. And MeomaikA behind this is making 20 roaches. He's going to be zooming across the map. He knows he has the momentum. And mate, with the death of these Disruptors, like, how is Nice going to hold against all the roaches?
With carriers.
Gonna try.
And super batteries.
Okay, 1 carrier does get picked off. We have 5 remaining here, which is still pretty good.
Honestly speaking, it
Yeah.
really is. Especially if you can fight within the range of his shield batteries. MeomaikA will pull away.
Yeah, he's trying to hit the base on the left-hand side of the map. At the same time, the Corruptors are distracting the main army. Maybe he can get a Nexus.
Roaches do reposition. It's going to take a long time for this very immobile army to get towards the northern base and then reinforce that. Recall was already utilized earlier, mind you.
Yeah, now we have like a pseudo base trade going on here because the carriers keep going across them. No, the A move! A lot of the Corruptors are shaved off, and now we don't just have carriers, we have Void Rays. But Nice is turning around.
Yeah, which honestly I feel like is a little bit of a mistake, but
Yeah.
let's see. With this turnaround, he will be able to defend, but not before losing 10 probes, not before losing the Nexus, and, mind you, giving up all possibility of counter damage.
Yeah, like, he was more than halfway across the map. He was just outside the hatchery of MeomaikA, and then he decided to turn around. Questionable move. We'll see if it's going to pay off here. He is trying to hunt down all of these roaches, but he's giving MeomaikA a long time to rebuild those Corruptors.
And MeomaikA has already rebuilt this Corruptus.
Oh, exactly.
Straight on forward to these carries. Actually pulls away.
Yeah, he does pick off one of the Void Rays, then does back off as well. He's more than willing to give up one of these hatcheries. This isn't the biggest of deals for MeomaikA. Again, he's just trying to catch a couple of isolated units here or there.
Yeah, trying to bring the operative forward. Does succeed every now and then, but it does look like he's giving up a couple of Corruptors every time he kills a carrier.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Void Ray count. The Void Rays, that's far too high. Like, pure Corruptor is not going to cut it right now. The Void Rays, they activate their Prismatic Alignment and absolutely just shred through the Corruptors.
Yeah, MeomaikA tries to kite, but unfortunately, the reactions just barely aren't there. And just like that, in the blink of an eye, MeomaikA had a lot of time to rebuild his Corruptor count. He got a pretty massive Corruptor count. Blink of an eye, it was gone.
Yeah, exactly. It's MeomaikA's unwillingness to make spellcasters is killing him right now because pure Corruptor is not going to be enough here. He needs Vipers or Infestors. Or I guess the other route would just be creep with stack defense, right? With a Spore Forest. But at the moment with pure Corruptor, it's so difficult to force your way through just the sheer amount of Void Rays here to get on top of those carriers.
Yeah, honestly, one good Parabomb would be nice. Parabomb and Fungal Connection would be amazing, or even just, yoinking the carriers away from the range of the Void Rays.
Even just yoinking a couple of Void Rays here or there, like whatever it takes, man, whatever it takes. But unfortunately, MeomaikA just doesn't have the ability to do any of that right now without any of those spellcasters. Now it looks like this may be the final fight of the game.
Yeah, Nice is just dodging his biles wherever he can, activating prismatic alignment. Once the threat is neutralized, Bile actually lands on one of the carriers, but it is nowhere near enough. GG, Nice takes that series 2-0, already making his way to a pre-qualifying match, not quite qualifying match.
GG, well played. Nice does take the series 2-0, and honestly, like, MeomaikA, there were a lot of moments there where I really liked what he was doing, especially in game number 2. Not so much game 1, but game 2, the tech switches, right? Going to those corruptors, into mutas, into roaches, like, these were great, and they were dealing damage. He was trading incredibly well, he was getting bases, nexus after nexus, but he just never had a proper answer to the Sky Toss once it was high enough, right?
Yeah, you mentioned it, and I really think that it's what it comes down to. MeomaikA was way too stubborn. Once he gotten himself in a good position, there was no way that would have lasted, right? Staying on Roach Ravager that long, insisting on going for Corruptors without any spellcasters. He just needed a couple of Infestors, a couple of Vipers out, and he would be solid. He would have he would continue having the advantage as the game went on, but because he didn't, he realized what his win condition was, and he just went for it.
I mean, just make Void Rays.
Just kill the Corruptors, and that's it.
Yeah.
There's literally no other anti-air there.
Yeah, unfortunately, but GG, well played. Nice does move on, as you said, to the next round, where he already has an opponent ready and waiting.